What happened was, it's a cute anecdote, but it's a true story. I was running to my lesson at Curtis. And in the corner, I kind of bumped into a cellist who was on, and his cello fell, my music fell. He was not upset at all. He said, "What's that?" "My first symphony." And he said, "Oh, I'm on my way to the airport to join Maestro Stokowski's orchestra. Can I show him your score?" I said, "I have another copy, why not?" And I forgot all about it for a month. That's how it happened. It's one of those amazing coincidences. Thanks to that, a few years later, when Stokowski organized his last orchestra, the American Symphony Orchestra in New York, he invited me to be his associate conductor. And all that came from my having this little accident on the corner with a cellist. I really wanted to ask Maestro Stokowski advice about conducting, which was my main interest at the moment. So finally, I got a few minutes with him before the concert, and I said, "Maestro, I would like to really be a conductor, although I've been doing concerts. What advice can you give me?" Most unexpected, you will laugh. He said, "Oh, very easy. Go around the world and watch all the bad conductors and learn what not to do." Now, there was a point in that, because one can learn from other people's errors, you always do, from one's own errors, most of all, but other people. I also learned a great deal from working with him and with my teachers, Pierre Montreux and Antal Dorati. So it's a mixed thing, but that was an amazing advice. I was conducting in Mexico City, where I used to go often. I was conducting a work by a Spanish-Mexican composer, Rodolfo Halfter. It's a work with a choir circling the orchestra all around. So right towards the end, I gave a cue to the choir to my left, which didn't come in. And I desperately gave a cue with my baton, and the baton went through my hand. And I took it out, but it broke. So it was left with a piece hanging and blood all over me. And the orchestra was, they kept on playing, and I kept on conducting. And I didn't feel a thing because of the intensity of the moment of conducting. That's all. I didn't want to stop. That would be terrible. So I kept to the end. When it ended, the pain was incredible. And then I removed the orchestra. Couldn't believe it. And then I was taken to the American hospital in Mexico City for a anti-tetanus injection. But then I noticed that the nurse was reading the instructions on how to give the injection for about 10 minutes. I said, no, thank you. I'll just wash it. And nothing happened. My left hand, I still play violin. It didn't go through any of the nerves, was fine. But it made the news worldwide, because it happened that the mayor of Berlin, they didn't have anything to do with him that night. They took him to my concert, which was in the cathedral. So the press was there, and the news came out, conductor, still in YouTube or in Google or someplace, show a conductor has an accident on the baton. The reason, if it was a wooden baton, it would just break. But when I remember arriving in Mexico City from Pittsburgh, and my luggage didn't arrive, so I didn't have my batons. So the driver said, "Look, this is Mexico City. We have batons everywhere. Let's stop right here in the band shop." And all the band shop had were batons made of fiberglass. Now, fiberglass can be like a weapon, like a knife, and that's why it happened in the broke. But I'm fine. Now, the funny PS to the story is that 2 weeks later, Sir George Scholti had a kind of a similar accident in the Metropolitan Opera, conducting Don Giovanni. He hit his eyelid. Fortunately, it wasn't nothing like that, but it was bad enough that in his case, they stopped the performance because he dropped, he was shocked. He was not a young man. And the Metropolitan Opera called the New York Times that this happened, and it's old news. These conductors do it all the time. I remember meeting Sir George at the airport a few weeks later, and he said, you were 2 weeks ahead of me. I was joking. So it can happen. I'm not the only. The most famous case, of course, was Lully, the first conductor, so-called, who died from it. In those days, conducting consisted of using a big, huge pole, stick, iron stick, beating time in the floor, bam, 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 to get the oxygen together. One time he hit his foot, he got gangrene, and he died. Lully, he's famous mostly for that story, although he was a very funny person. So it is a dangerous profession. I had some amazing cats, which I miss every day. Also a dog. I had, as a child, I had this dog that when he died, I wrote a composition for him, called Canine Suite for 3 Winds, which is played often, it's published. And then when the dog that we had at home here in New York was a tiny Maltese called Samson, very intelligent dog. And when he died, I was in Boston, and in the hotel room, I didn't have music paper. I made lines to make myself music paper, and wrote a composition called Samson and Buddha, which is recorded and published. And Buddha was his little toy. He had this little animal, stuffed animal, which called Buddha, and he knew the name of it, and it was inseparable. They were absolutely inseparable. And once he had to be stitched and he was very upset, Samson. So I guess I relate to dogs too, because they communicate better with humans. But cats are very special. So very simple reply, cats and dogs.